The Regional Wage Board has approved yesterday a 50 pesos hike in the minimum wage of Metro Manila workers. Let's talk about the move of the Department of Labor and Employment in answering the rising cost of living. Good morning, I'm Attorney Karen Jimeno, and we're taking you at the forefront. Kamanggagawa Party List Representative Ellie San Fernando has voiced strong support for workers, saying the 50 peso wage hike in Metro Manila is not enough to meet the rising cost of living. Speaking on the opening day of the 20th Congress, San Fernando called for more substantial measures to ensure decent wages and a dignified life for laborers and their families. Will the current wage adjustment mitigate the hardships that workers struggle with to make ends meet? With us this morning is Kamanggagawa Party List Ellie San Fernando. Good morning, Kong Ellie.
Good morning po, Attorney Karen.
O, di ba? Ang sarap sabihin, Congressman Ellie.
Hindi pa rin po ako sanay, pero sige, ganun na nga.
So yesterday was the announcement of the 50 peso wage hike.
Yes.
What was your reaction to this?
Nabanggit ko nga po, barya na naman.
Barya ba yan?
Barya na naman. Alam niyo po kasi ang hinihingi ng mga manggagawa, legislated wage increase of 200 pesos. At ayaw namin yun doon sa regional wage boards because we were expecting it already that the regional wage boards will release a wage order na malayong-malayo doon sa expectation ng mga manggagawa.
What was the expectation?
So we are expecting, actually okay na ang mga manggagawa ng 100 pesos eh. Pero ito, way below than our expectation, but we're not surprised. Barya yan kasi napakalayo doon sa pangangailangan ng isang pamilya to live or to survive in a month. Let me quote yung 2018 na pronouncement ni NEDA Secretary Ernesto Pernia. For a family of 5 to survive in a month, the term that was used was survive. Hindi pa komportable. 42,000 a month ang kailangan. So with the 50 pesos increase, that means 645 plus 50 is 695. You just multiply it by 26, that's only 18,000 a month.
Yeah, well, so, that is the average. Actually, the average because agricultural workers and retail workers is lower. It's around 608 pesos to 658. So this range for NCR is actually over 15,000 pesos to around 18,000 pesos.
Yes.
So kung sinasabi niyo hindi sapat pa, but hindi rin kayo nagulat, bakit hindi kayo nagulat na ganito lang yung binigay?
Tulad ng binabanggit ko, Attorney Karen, at matagal nang sinasabi ng mga labor groups, pagdating kasi sa regional wage boards, lugi dyan ang mga manggagawa eh. Kasi tripartite yan eh. So ang nangyayari, boses ng malaking mga negosyante, ng negosyo, the government and the workers. Usually kasi 2:1 ang labanan. Any increase na proposal ng mga manggagawa, talo na agad.
Dahil yung sa representation,
yes.
So, 2/3 is business.
Ang pagtatakda naman ng sahod, Attorney Karen, nandyan yung demand for living wages ng workers. Second, yung capacity to pay of employers. Third, nandyan yung pagbalik ng kapital patungo sa pagbubuuli ng mga bagong industriya to create more jobs. Usually kasi hindi pinakikinggan yung demand of workers for living wages. So ang pinakikinggan palagi, boses ng mga malalaking negosyo. Kaya lugi yung mga manggagawa. When we say barya ang binigay ng regional wage boards, laging in comparison yan sa poverty threshold, doon sa pangangailangan ng isang pamilya para mabuhay sa isang buong buwan. So hindi yan kakayanin. And this is my challenge. Nagtutunog lang na parang laging inaaway yung Secretary of Labor and Employment. But we have to call him out. We have to call spade a spade. Kasi si Secretary Benny Laguesma mismo ang nagsasabi na lahat ng pag-uusap tungkol sa pagtataas ng sahod dapat nasa wage boards. So, in effect, he is supportive of what the wage boards are releasing in terms of wage orders. So, kung tingin ni Secretary Benny Laguesma, sapat ang minimum wage at sapat ang 50 pesos, Secretary, I am challenging you. Try nating mabuhay ng minimum wage. Try natin na pagkasahin yung 50 pesos na dagdag sahod. Tignan ko kung makakasabay yan doon sa bilis ng pagtaas ng presyo ng mga bilihin at serbisyo.
Well, the Secretary of Labor is also just following the structure under our laws na nasa wage board talaga yung decision. Are you proposing any changes now that you're in Congress?
Actually, nag-usap kami ng mga kaibigan sa 20th Congress na we will be calling for an inquiry in aid of legislation as to how wages are determined. Halimbawa, ito 50 pesos. What are the determinants for the wage boards to come up with 50 pesos? Bakit 50 pesos? Kasi kailangan nilang i-justify yan. In the prevailing poverty threshold, doon sa mga statistics natin, etc., etc. Take note that in the recent SWS survey, food poverty, more than 20% ang nagsabi na sila ay nagugutom. Ibig sabihin, all-time high yan. Maraming nagugutom at ang poverty statistics natin pataas din. So ibig sabihin yan, hindi sumasabay yung kinikita ng isang manggagawa para mabuhay ng may dignidad sa bawat isang araw. So paano nag-come up ang Regional Wage Board sa 50 pesos? Because the demand of workers for living wages is way above 50 pesos. Legislated wage increase na nga 200 pesos Tapos wage board, sasabihin nila, 50 pesos.
But Congressman Ellie, last year, doon nagsimula rin yung ayuda programs ng gobyerno natin. And meron AKAP, yung assistance para doon sa Kapos ang Kita program. So, hindi ba to nako-complement yung mga ayuda programs doon sa pagkukulang ng wage increase? So, kung mabigat to sa private sector at sa mga nagnenegosyo, parang ang sumasalo nung kulang ay yung gobyerno. Is that sufficient?
Tama yun na dapat gobyerno ang sumalo doon sa hindi kakayanin ng mga negosyo. Pero hindi rin sapat yung puro ayuda lang. Kasi band-aid solutions lang yan See, for example, AKAP is not necessarily bad. No? Hindi siya masama. Pero kung puro ayuda lang ang intervention ng gobyerno, hindi rin nare-resolve yung problema, yung mga malalalim na problema ng ating bansa. Ang kailangan kasi natin magkaroon ng oportunidad, ng trabaho, magkaroon ng maayos na pasahod sa ating mga manggagawa. So instead of giving ayuda, mga band-aid solution, bakit hindi gawin ng gobyerno palakasin niya yung public employment program? Nagagawa naman na yan. Merong mga cash for work, merong mga tupad, pero alam naman natin na very controlled yan ng mga politiko. Huwag na tayo maglokohan doon, pare-parehas naman yan Ginagamit ng mga politiko yung mga ayuda programs for their benefit. So ang sinasabi natin, not necessarily bad ang ayuda, pero hindi rin yan ang sagot sa mga problema ng mga manggagawa. So the government, with its billions of pesos, trillions of pesos of resources, can come up with long-term solutions addressing the problems of our workers. So hindi lang naman tama yun hindi lang naman nasa pagtataas ng sahod. Pwede niyang pababain yung presyo ng mga bilihin, pwedeng lumikha ng mga industriya. But the problem is, the government is not doing its job. So that's our responsibility as part of the Congress, of the 20th Congress, na tignan natin paano tayo makakatulong para guminhawa ang buhay ng mga manggagawa.
Well, since 2023, the minimum wage in the NCR region has increased to 125 pesos. So ngayon na with the added 50 pesos, hindi ba ito mabigat din sa mga employers at yung mga nagnenegosyo?
Magandang punto pag-usapan yan, Attorney Karen. First, on the aspect ng micro-enterprises. Itong taas sahod, lagi kasing ginagamit ng mga grupo ng malalaking negosyante na laging apektado ang mga micro-enterprises. What we are saying is, for ECOP and PRA, the Philippine Retailers Association, wag nyo naman pong gamitin palaging MSMEs. Kasi pag binasa nyo lang po yung Section 6 of the legislated wage increase, the micro-enterprises, meaning businesses with 3 million asset or capitalization and below, employing 10 employers and below, exempt na po sila dito sa legislated wage increase. At may BMBE law pa tayo, Barangay Micro Business Enterprise Law, na kapag ikaw ay BMBE certified, exempt ka sa pagbibigay din ng minimum wage. So hindi apektado yung mga micro-enterprises. Ngayon, pag pinag-usapan natin yung mga small, medium at mga malalaking mga negosyo, tingin natin, kaya na nila na magbigay ng mas mataas na sahod sa kanilang mga
Kaya
manggagawa.
ba talaga nila? Kasi last week, I was in a dinner, yung katabi ko owns a catering business. And nung tinatanong ko, paano yung cost ninyo sa pagtaas ng presyo ng fuel? And sabi niya, ayun, malaki talagang effect sa amin. Pero ang wino-worry ko yung possible na pagtaas ng wage to 50 pesos. And nagkatotoo na nga, just yesterday. So, para sa mga katulad nila, sabi niya, malaking impact daw yun dun sa cost nila. And she'll have to talk to yung mga clients niya na kailangan din
She will
nilang
increase
taasan
her-
yung presyo. So for consumers,
Yeah.
meron din immediate effect.
Yeah.
And patong-patong to with the rising cost of electricity.
Yes, yes.
And then fuel pa with
Yes.
the conflict in Iran, Israel, and Ukraine, Russia na mukhang hindi pa mariresolve very soon. Paano naman yun in terms of our GDP growth?
Pagdating muna doon sa mga small enterprises, also included in the legislated wage increase is the incentive. So the incentive part for the small businesses. So hindi rin naman sila, kung sakali na mahihirapan din talaga sila na magpatupad nitong dagdag sahod, the government should come in. Then napapasok yung crucial role ng national government. Hindi naman natin sinasabi na i-dole out, pero dapat may share din ang national government, especially for small enterprises. The problem is kasi, yung paradigm ng gobyerno natin when it comes to development, laging nakakatig doon sa mga malalaking mga negosyante. Anong ibig sabihin natin dito? You have tax incentives. Sobrang daming tax incentives para sa mga malalaking mga negosyante. Binabaan pa yung corporate income taxes. Pero pagdating dito sa mga maliit at maliitang mga negosyo, napakaraming red tape, ang hirap. Wala halos incentive para sa mga maliit at maliitang negosyo. So dapat balik na rin. Dapat ang gobyerno, mas malaki ang suporta niya sa mga maliit at maliitan ng mga negosyo kasi sila yung nagsastruggle to compete in the market. Big businesses, on the other hand, they can pay their workers more. Eh ako, Attorney Karen, just to be very frank about this, maniniwala ba ako na hindi kaya ng mga Villar, say for example, to pay their workers more? Maniniwala ba ako na yung mga SM, Ayala, etc., yung mga malalaking mga negosyante, sasabihin nila, hindi nila kaya magpasahod ng mas malaki sa kanilang
Have
mga
you
gawa?
done a study on that? Kung magkano yung binabayad ng mga big businesses and conglomerates? Kung hindi ba sila nagbabayad ng more than the minimum wage?
Actually, Attorney Karen, may mga pag-aaral ng Ibon Foundation regarding that. So pag tinignan natin yung percentage share ng labor cost doon sa overall production cost ng isang kumpanya o ng isang negosyo, very minimal. Very minimal yun doon sa labor cost. Pagdating sa mga malalaking mga negosyo to, Attorney Karen. At isa pa na pwede natin tuntungan, year by year, ang net profit na dinedeclare ng mga malalaking mga negosyante, billions, by the billions. Ang GDP natin, year by year, pataas. Pero ang labor productivity also, pataas yan. Yung actual na nagagawa ng serbisyo at produkto ng mga manggagawa, pataas yan year by year. Pero pag tinignan natin, pag plinat natin yung wages, real wages ng mga manggagawa, virtually the same. So anong sinasabi nung datos na yan? Sabihin, bagamat tumataas ang kita ng ekonomiya, dumadami yung nagagawa ng mga manggagawa ng serbisyo at produkto, hindi yan nagtatranslate sa sahod. So what we are saying is, there must be a just share in the fruits of production.
So have you studied whether this is the reason of why we don't feel what we call the trickle-down effect?
Yes.
Kasi even in the recent report that just came out this week, Philippines is seen as the fastest growing economy in the ASEAN region. So just for the projections in 2025, we're ahead of Vietnam. I think it's around 5.9% growth is the projection. So kung ganon, di ba ang tanong lagi, bakit na-mention tayo as fastest growing economy, pero hindi naman nararamdaman ng mga tao.
Yeah.
So, yan ba yung reason?
Yes, Attorney Karen. May pag-aaral na rin ang UP Soler regarding that. So, yung reason is yung kita ng ekonomiya natin, so that is from 2001 to 2018, and then meron din from Ibon na from 2021 onwards. Yung kita ng ekonomiya natin, hindi napupunta sa mga manggagawa. Well, some will argue na, okay, trabaho ng mga negosyo. Pag may malaking kita sila, they will invest sa panibagong mga makina, capital, etc., etc. Even if you compute that, malaki pa rin ang percent share na nakukuha ng mga malalaking negosyante vis-a-vis doon sa wage, percentage share sa wages ng mga manggagawa. So ang binabanggit natin dito, yung paglago ng ekonomiya natin, not everyone enjoys that. So ang sinasabi natin, kapag yan ay binahagi natin sa mga manggagawa, ang makikinabang, basic economics, ang makikinabang, ang ekonomiya rin natin. Anong ibig sabihin natin dito? Ang mga manggagawa, when you raise their wages, their tendency is not to save. Their tendency is to spend. So when workers are spending, nabuboost yung local economy. Kasi kapag ang mga negosyo, hindi sila sumabay sa higher demand coming from the workers, ay malulugi sila. Magsasara sila. Kasi yung mga manggagawa, they are spending. So, nagiging robust ang local economy natin. So, nagbe-benefit yung ekonomiya natin as a whole. Pero hindi yan nangyayari, Attorney Karen, lalong-lalo na sa lokal na ekonomiya natin. Kasi nga, walang capacity to spend. ang mga manggagawa. Now, if you raise their wages, they will be more happy. And if they are happy, they will be more productive. And if they are more productive, then businesses in the long run will benefit. And our economy in the long run will benefit from this. Definitely, there are effects, negative effects in the short run. Yan yung binabanggit natin. Maaari, hindi natin sinasabi automatic, maaari na magtaas ang presyo ng mga pangunahing bilhin at serbisyo. Pero let us remember, wages is not the sole determinant ng pagtataas ng presyo ng mga bilihin. By logic, 1989 ang huling legislated wage increase. From 1989 to 2025, ilang libong beses na tumaas ang presyo ng bilihin. Ang ibig sabihin lang naman yan, gumagalaw ang presyo ng bilihin kahit hindi gumagalaw ang sahod ng mga manggagawa. So, ang wages, one of the determinants lang.
One of the determinants. Yeah, that's true. But Kong Eli, what about making the Philippines globally competitive? Because other countries like China, Vietnam, their wages are lower generally, which is why they're attractive to foreign investors for particularly manufacturing.
Say for example, in China, yung isang buong region doon, isang katumbas na ng 2 Pilipinas siguro ang kinikita eh. So medyo may apples to oranges yun, parang mahirap
hindi comparable.
na.
Pero so paano ba sa ibang bansa? Naaral nyo ba yun na how the other workers survive on lower salaries?
May trend ngayon, Attorney Karen, well, I have to look sa mga study niyan, pero may trend ngayon na doon sa pagtataas ng sahod, ayaw din ng mga negosyo, especially the micro and small enterprises. But let me use Malaysia, for example. Just recently, pinasa nila yung isang batas na nagtatanggal, say for example, ng provincial rate. Wala ng provincial rate sa Malaysia. So in effect, tumaas ang sahod sa Malaysia across the regions. Bumagsak ba yung ekonomiya nila? Just as what the economists are predicting? No. Hindi bumagsak. So meron tayong mga pwedeng mga benchmark na Malaysia, in Vietnam, say for example, pwede natin tignan yan. Pero again, pag tinignan natin yung income ng workers compared dito sa Southeast Asian region, at tinignan natin yung cost of living, talaga napakababa ng sahod ng mga manggagawa dito sa Pilipinas. Hindi makasabay sa cost of living. So, luging-lugi talaga ang mga manggagawa dito.
Kong Eli, yung wage increase, it doesn't apply to domestic workers, yung mga, let's say, kasambahay, drivers. Paano naman sila? Kasi kung ito nga, sinasabi mo, maliit na nga yung 15 to 18,000 pesos, which is the effect of this wage increase. Paano yung mga kasambahay and other domestic help within NCR as well?
So, the domestic workers, dapat masama rin sila, included din sila sa pag-uusap ng pagtataas ng sahod. So, we have to come up with a way kung paano mapapataas yung standard of living ng mga kasambahay natin. For the informal workers naman, dito dapat papasok yung role din ng DOLE and national government. Say for example, for gig workers, considered sila as informal workers, yung mga riders natin, Lazada, Lalamove, etc., etc. There is already a Supreme Court ruling na saying that they are regular employees of their platform. Pero hindi ginagawa yan ng mga kumpanya. So ang DOLE, dapat ang gawin niya for these informal workers in the gig economy, especially for motorcycle taxis, etc., etc., dapat ang gawin ng DOLE, inspect niya yung mga kumpanya. Kung pinapatupad niya ba itong ruling from the Supreme Court. For vendors naman, say for example, at other part of the informal work, diyan din naman papasok. Role din to ng DOLE. Napakaraming programa ng Department of Labor and Employment. Pero hindi alam ng mga tao. Say for example, marami ako nakakausap na sinasabi nila they don't even know what workers associations mean. Sabihin niyan, even if you are not part of a company, you can organize yourself into a workers association. Say for example, kayo ay mga solo parents, mga nanay, malaking ginagawa sa bahay. Pwede pala nilang organize yung sarili nila, magpa-accredit sa Department of Labor and Employment and access the programs and services provided by DOLE, part of which livelihood program and other
may
programs.
Pala.
Meron.
So,
hindi alam
marami
ng marami yan.
kahit ako hindi ko. So, marami palang hindi nakakaalam yan.
Yes, opo.
So, pagka yung mga sinasabi natin kasambahay, they can also organize.
Yes. Even yung mga agency workers, yung mga walang employee-employer relationship, they can organize themselves and they can access programs and services provided for by Department of Labor and Employment. And let me just emphasize this. Hindi rin alam ng mga tao na may mga public employment service office per local government unit. ito yung katuwang supposedly ng Department of Labor and Employment. Eh dapat yung peso, nagpo-provide din ng mas maraming mga programa sa kanyang mga nasasakupan within the local government. Ang problema, karamihan ng mga peso, hindi rin nila alam yung mandato nila. Hindi rin nila alam ano yung mga programa na pwedeng
Sino bang nagsusupervise sa kanila doon?
Well,
Dapat?
the
The LGU
the
or
local
the...
chief executive in partnership with with the DOLE. Kasi merong batas din yan, yung PESO Act. So ang binabanggit natin, sayang yung may mga programa, may mga serbisyo hindi nalalaman ng mga tao na pwede pala kami mag-access diyan. Livelihood gusto namin, say for example, kami mga mga rug makers kami, kapos ang kita namin. Pwede pala kami mag-access ng additional capitalization or additional program from DOLE. May pondo para dyan.
Is that something you can do in
Yes.
Congress now that you're there?
Yes.
Perhaps channel some of the funding for ayuda programs to these type of mga programs under yung sa institutions na
Yes.
natin, like yung mga livelihood
Yeah.
programs na dapat naman pala ginagawa pala, lalo na kung may
Yes.
mag-organize na groups. Do you feel optimistic that kaya mong gawin yon?
Yes,
To
especially
re-channel?
magba-budget season ngayon.
Oo
Tony.
nga, exactly. That's why I was saying very timely. But do you think there will be some resistance to re-channel ayuda programs?
Tingin ko, Attorney Karen, wala naman po kasing magsasabi na ayaw naming i-rechannel yan or ayaw naming gawin yan. Kasi pinag-uusapan natin dito, mga nasa informal work din. At wala naman magsasabi na okay din naman yung mga livelihood programs.
Pero walang control ang mga politiko if it's
Yes.
going to be
Yun
livelihood
lang naman
programs.
magiging problema, Attorney Karen. Pero mas maganda yun. Mas maganda walang control ang mga politiko.
Exactly, yeah.
Mas maganda na walang
But
control.
I guess the question there is one of practicality.
Yes.
Kaya bang iusad yan kung walang
We will
walang
have to see that,
control
Attorney
ang-
Karen. We'll have to see that sa ating mga colleagues. Pero I'm optimistic about it kasi I have talked with my fellow neophyte representatives. Very supportive naman sila sa mga usapin ng mga manggagawa at pagsuporta dito sa mga advocacy natin. So we have to start somewhere. Kahit mahirap, we have to start somewhere.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Well, with respect to the wage hike, they are looking at other regions
Yeah.
for a potential increase as well. May balita ka na ba kung magkakaroon din ng wage increase in other regions?
I haven't heard kung meron maglalabas ng wage orders ang mga regions. Pero kung 50 pesos, may benchmark na, kung 50 pesos ang NCR, sure ako, hindi lalagpas sa 50 pesos, mas mababa sa 50 pesos ang regions.
Anong mga regions ang palagay mo nangangailangan na? At least yung dapat i-prioritize ng wage increase because of the increasing rates as well.
Calabarzon, katabi lang ng Metro Manila ang Calabarzon eh. Marami ako natatanggap na, di ba, naglabas ng wage order NCR. Marami sa Cavite, Laguna. Katabi lang kami ng Metro Manila, bakit kami? Hindi, 560 ang prevailing minimum wage sa Calabarzon. So bakit sila daw hindi maisama dito? Mga Cebu, say for example, Central Visayas, Metro Iloilo, that's Western Visayas. Dapat na din magtaas, Davao Region, Jensan, yung mga metro cities in the provinces, dapat sumabay. Pero this is exactly the problem, Attorney Karen. Nagtataas palagi, actually pinakamaraming pagtataas ng sahod nasa NCR. Pero pagdating sa mga probinsya, lagi na pag-uulihan. So ang binabanggit natin, that is exactly the problem with RA 6727, the Wage Rationalization Act. Kapag pinaubaya mo sa mga wage boards, yung pagdedetermine ng mga sahod, kahit ang cost of living across the Philippines pare-parehas, kahit yung pagtaas ng presyo sa buong bansa pare-parehas, yung sahod laging magkakaiba.
Based on the boards.
Yes, laging mas mababa pagdating sa probinsya. So, kaya kailangan i-repeal yung RA 6727 and establish, this is what we filed kahapon, kailangan mag-establish ng National Wage Coalition, ng Commission, hindi regional wage boards. Because the regional wage boards, since 1989, they have not been responsive to the needs of workers. So, instead of regional wages, dapat meron tayong National Wage Commission.
Don't you think that would prevent also changing the wages based on the nuances per region? Kasi totoo na rin naman
Yes.
na NCR pinakamahal and then the other regions mas affordable yung cost of living. With your new structure, the proposal you have in the bill you filed yesterday, change that ability to have variations.
Pagdating po kasi sa cities, Attorney Karen, mga especially component and highly urbanized cities, hindi na magkaiba sa Metro Manila yung cost of living. So, binabasag din natin yung cost of living argument, mas mura sa probinsya. There are areas in the provinces that are much cheaper compared to Metro Manila. But in metro cities, in provinces, we are talking about Metro Baguio, Metro Cebu, Metro Iloilo, Metro Gensan, even Metro Dumaguete, Pampanga, Bulacan, etc. Yung mga syudad na yan, yung mga probinsya na yan, yung cost of living yan, hindi na naiiba sa Metro Manila.
Ganun ba kahit rent? Or pagbili ng bahay?
Sa rent lang, Attorney Karen, nagkakaiba. Definitely, mas mura in terms of rent.
Pero pagkain, mas mura din. Napansin ko. Sa iba ha?
Sa
ibang regions.
Sa iba, Attorney Karen. Pero, karinderya nga, ginagawa ko example, Attorney Karen, ang takal ng kanin dito sa Metro Manila, 15 to 20 pesos. Ang takal ng kanin, say for example, sa Dumaguete, 15 to 20 pesos din.
Pareho lang pala.
So, pare-parehas lang. Even sa mga supermarkets, Attorney Karen, naka-same prices yan sa mga supermarkets. Pag pumunta ka ng mga probinsya, mas marami ng mga supermarkets compared to the local markets. So yung presyo ng mga bilihin, primary commodities, primary and basic commodities, halos pare-parehas na yan, Attorney Karen. In fact,
so in your proposal, talagang gagawin mong uniform?
Yes.
Hindi na per region?
Pero Attorney Karen, ang ano dyan, hindi naman biglaan. So there will be a 5-year transition. Say for example, if you are working in Calabarzon and you're earning 560 pesos per day, you have a 5-year transition para ma-close yung gap. Kung ano ang prevailing wage sa NCR, say for example, 695 ngayon, tapos nasa BARM ka na 360 pesos lang, within 5 years, dapat mag-close yung gap. At every year, ang taas ng sahod is not less than 20%. Para hindi magkaroon ng shock pagdating sa market natin. Kasi tama naman yung concern na baka naman mabigla yung mga negosyo.
Yeah, lalo na if you're located, let's say you purposely located in the Visayas region.
Yes.
Tapos bigla na lang, pareho na, maghahabol ka, but it's not what you analyze.
The transition period, yun yung makakatulong doon sa mga negosyo natin. And after the 5-year, mabubuwag na tuluyan yung mga regional wage boards at magkakaroon ng National Wage Commission. So, hindi lang ako ang nagpupush nito, Attorney Karen. To give credit, may nabasa na rin ako na bill or proposed bill ni Representative Salceda about this. Nagkakaiba lang doon sa manner and method as to how we can do this and how we can move forward from regional wages to a national wage floor.
Well, I think this is a good idea to the extent that we can decentralize Metro Manila because dati maraming pumupunta from the province to here kasi mas matataas yung sweldo. But with this, pwede ka nang mag-probinsya or magstay sa probinsya mo na with the expectation na pareho lang yung makukuha mong sahod sa Metro Manila at doon. Pero naaral nyo na ba kung ano magiging epekto sa mga negosyo? Baka naman maraming magsara at mabawasan din yung employment kasi yung magsasara nga dahil masyadong mahal.
We have a study that's currently in progress. Ilalabas namin yan one of these days. Inaaral kasi namin kung kayo argument na kakayanin ba ng mga negosyo. Pero katambal, Attorney Karen, itong pagbubuwag ng mga regional wage boards, yun talagang pag-develop ng mga industries natin at magkaroon ng meaningful rural development. The problem is, development in the Philippines is highly centralized in Metro Manila or the Mega Manila area.
Yeah.
Pagdating sa Visayas, Mindanao region, problema talaga yung mga industries doon. Pagdating nga sa budgeting, idugtong natin sa trabaho ng mga congressman. Pagdating sa budgeting, lagi na pag-iiwanan yung Visayas and Mindanao. Hindi nagkakaroon. Railway na nga lang . Hindi matapos-tapos yung railway project sa Mindanao and the Visayas region, etc. So, kailangang pag-usapan yan. Dapat tambalan yung pagbubuwag ng ng regional wages ng pagde-develop din natin ng mga industry sa mga probinsya.
Okay, very interesting. At tamang-tama, mamaya after our gap, pag-usapan naman natin yung details ng mga bills na final mo at yung experience mo sa Congress after your first day. The juicy details of Kong Ellie's first day in the 20th Congress yesterday when At the Forefront returns after a short break. Welcome back at the forefront. Now for the juicy details of Kong Ellie's first day in the 20th Congress yesterday. So how was your first day in Congress?
Masaya, Attorney Karen. Ang dami natutuwa sa Kongreso, mga security guard and congressional staff. They've been watching me pala. Sa
So mga
and-
botante mo pala
Opo,
yun.
opo. So sobrang saya kasi sabi nila finally meron lang from TikTok, from Facebook, nandun na sa Kongreso. Dating pinapatawag daw, ngayon ako na yung nagpa-file ng
Oo.
bills and resolutions. So very, very warm ang pagtanggap ng Congress sa atin.
Kamusta naman yung mga kasama mo sa Congress? Complete attendance na ba yesterday?
Kahapon kasi, Attorney Karen, filing pa lang eh. So, ang first day of the 20th session, 20th Congress will be on July 28 pa. So, hindi pa kami nagsipasok talaga
Hindi nyo
doon.
pa nakita
Oo.
iba.
Pero,
Ilan na yung mga pumasok kahapon?
kasama ko si Congressman J.C. Abalos of 4-Piece Party List. The TUCP Party List was there also. Si Representative Leandro Leviste. So, nag-file na rin siya.
Okay, so parang apat pa lang yun.
Apat pa lang. Tapos, nandun din yung from Makabayan. Nandun din sila. Pero, other than them, wala na ako nakita.
So, konti pa lang.
Konti pa lang.
May opisina ka na ba?
Wala pa nga, Attorney Karen sadly.
Bakit wala? I would have expected pag dating mo, di ba, meron ka nang pupuntang opisina.
I asked Sec-Gen Reggie about it. Hanggang June 30 pa kasi talaga yung mga nagsistay doon sa mga opisina. So marami mga opisina nagmo-move out pa lang. So magkakaroon ng list of rooms na available. Actually ngayong araw and the succeeding days, yung isang staff namin nandun ngayon sa house to check ano yung mga available rooms. So
Parang college, no? Yung kung anong locker gusto mo. Parang kung ano yung mga... Pero how does it work? Meron bang ino-observe na seniority?
Yes.
Like, for example, if you prefer a certain room
Yes.
because of the view or because nasa certain floor siya, ano yung yung priority nila?
Alam ko, Attorney Karen, siyempre seniority, yung mga matatagal na sa Congress. And then, the House leadership, yung mga deputy speakers, Majo, etc., sila ay merong, kumbaga, makakakuha sila ng preferred rooms nila. For the neophytes naman, by tradition, siyempre, kung anong matira.
So ganun ka, kung anong tira.
Kung anong matira, yun lang. Hindi naman tayo maarte dyan, Attorney Karen. Kung ano available, masasapatan naman na tayo doon.
Well, since you talked about House leadership,
Yeah.
ano na ang balita? Sino ba magiging Speaker of the House?
Well, by the looks of it, Speaker Martin Romualdez got the numbers to be the next Speaker for 20th Congress. But there are pronouncements from other members of the House. Meron din mga chismis, meron mga undercurrents na patungkol dito sa House leadership. Well, I've heard Representative Toby Tiangco, baka isa yan. I've also heard, I'm not sure about this or whether this is confirmed or not, Representative Albi Benitez.
So yung mga lumutang na pangalan na
Yes.
rin, yan yung nababalita dati
Yes,
pa. Pero within Congress, meron ka na ba natanggap ng tawag to support any of the contenders?
Ang masaya nga dyan, Attorney Karen, hindi siguro nila alam ako kontakin. yung mga gustong kumuha. But I've seen the statement of support, the paper statement of support for Speaker Martin Romualdez. But as for Kamanggagawa, we haven't signed any document.
So you've been given that statement of
Yes,
support
yes,
for current Speaker
Yes,
Martin
yes,
Romualdez.
yes.
Have you been asked to sign that statement of support?
Not really asked to sign that, but sinabi lang nila, okay, tignan mo to. If you want to sign, pwede kang mag-sign under the leadership of Speaker Martin Romualdez. But then again, we would like to maintain our independence.
So ang Kamanggagawa, may balak ba kayong pumirma doon?
For now, kasi hindi ako yung nagde-decide yung council namin. So for the Kamanggagawa Council, we haven't decided on that matter yet. Pero rest assured, ito, binanggit ko rin naman sa mga kaibigan doon sa 20th Congress, we are bound to protect the institution as part of the 20th Congress na. And that means respecting the House leadership, supporting the House leadership, no matter who the House leadership is. So kung sino man yung mga magiging speaker at yung parte ng House leadership, we will support them.
So do you mean na maaaring hindi kayo pumirma?
Yes.
ng support for any.
Yes. Well,
Basta kung sino na lang
but
ang mahalal.
we will be part of minority, that's for sure, Attorney Karen. Kasi you're either majority or minority.
O bakit kayo magma-minority?
Yun yung way din namin, that's the space for us, Attorney Karen. Kasi kung halimbawa mag-independent minority, let's be practical about it. Independent minority, wala kang makukuha mga committees, paano ipupush yung mga legislative agenda ng kamanggagawa party list. So we are going to be pragmatic about this. At yung nag-aalay naman yung principles namin, at tingin naman makakagalaw ang kamanggagawa party list, maintaining its independence, ay nasa minority. But gusto ko lang din ilinaw, being in the minority does not necessarily mean being obstructionist.
Yeah.
So, magiging partner kami, critical partner kami ng House sa pagsusulong ng mga panukalang batas sa loob ng Kongreso.
Ba't ayaw mo maging majority para yung mga committees na kailangan nyo makuha ninyo?
Yun ang isang malaking problema dyan, Attorney Karen. Yun sa principles, yung pagiging independent kasi ng kamanggagawa party list. And we believe we will maintain that independence kapag nasa minority kami.
So that's a position you're taking
Yes.
right now. What about impeachment? Meron na bang balita kung anong gagawin ninyo? Because there's still that question kung makakatawid ba from 19th to 20th Congress. Although, meron namang mga ibang legal luminaries that have said that it has happened in the United States. So, pero sa inyo, ano nang nangyayari ngayon sa loob ng Kongreso?
Honestly, Attorney Karen, kaming mga neophytes ng 20th Congress, at least yung mga naging kaklase ko sa executive course, pare-parehas kaming clueless. Ano ba mangyayari? Kasi the impeachment happened in the 19th Congress. Tapos nung nag-convene na yung Senate Impeachment Court, part of yung pag-remand nila is that the 20th Congress will
ratify
or communicate to the Senate Impeachment Court that we will be pursuing the impeachment trial. So, question sa amin yan kasi parang nawalan kami ng pagkakataon ba na kasi 19th Congress ang nag-decide eh.
Oo.
Well, the Vice President has already been impeached.
Yeah.
So sila nag-decide doon. Tapos tatawid sa 20th Congress. So parang nawalan kami ng pagkakataon to magkaroon ng are we positive about it or do we go against it?
Yeah.
Kasi kung communicate na lang naman, yun ang sinasabi.
Hinihingi sa inyo. Oo. So, paano nga? Ano bang sentiment? At least yun sa mga nakausap mo. Are they all, or at least are most of them like also
may mga
interested?
nakausap ako, Attorney Karen, that they are supportive about it. As for me, isa konteksto natin, the Vice President has already been impeached. So, yung tanong na ako ba, say for example, ay supportive or hindi, moot na yun eh. Kasi impeached na si Vice President
ng Congress.
Ng Congress.
19th
ng
Congress.
19th Congress. Ngayon, ang pinupunto na, at ito rin binanggit ko sa ilang mga nagtanong sa akin, Attorney Karen, had Senate President Jesus Escudero convened the Senate Impeachment Court, hindi magkakandaletse-letse na ganito eh. Hindi magkakagulo ng ganito eh.
Bakit naman?
Kasi pinatagal niya eh. Kung sinundan lang ni Senate President Jesus Escudero, kung ano yung nakasulat sa saligang batas natin to proceed forthwith, hindi na sana nagkaroon ng ganitong pagtatalo-talo kung tatawid ba? Kasi sapat naman sana yung naging panahon o oras.
Do you think sapat yung panahon para matapos yung trial
tingin ko naman,
with the election coming up back then?
Tingin ko, Attorney Karen, sapat naman bago mag-election season. Pero again, nagdili-dali. Hindi makapag-decide si Senate President Jesus Escudero about this eh. So yun yung isang problema dito, Attorney Karen. Ngayon kami, as part of the 20th Congress, naguguluhan din kami. Hindi ako lawyer, Attorney Karen, at gusto ko ring kumuha ng pagtingin sa mga kaibigan nating lawyer about this.
But at the moment, is any document being circulated for signature?
I haven't seen.
So wala pang official na, let's say, ratification document
And
that's being circulated?
I'd like to quote Vice President Sara Duterte herself. Willing naman siya humarap ng trial. So the trial is not tantamount to conviction or acquittal. So let's have a trial. Magkaroon tayo ng trial. The people would like to know the truth. And we can only know the truth if there is a trial. And based on the merits na ipe-present ng House prosecution and the defense panel, doon dapat magpasya yung ating senator judges. Doon lang susunod kami, Attorney Karen. And I am bound to follow the rules and procedures of House as part of the 20th Congress.
Yesterday, pumasok ka na para mag-submit ng mga
Yes.
bills
Yes,
that
Atty.
you want to file. Can you share with us ilan ang na-file mo at saka para saan itong mga bills na to?
We have filed 8 bills and 2 resolutions. For the bills, Attorney Karen, primary na final natin is direct repeal of RA 6727. Yun yung provincial rate na tinatawag, Wage Rationalization Act of 1989. And then, sumunod doon yung amending the labor code. Particularly, magkaroon ng sick leave and vacation leave. So, we call it the Sick Leave and Vacation Leave Act of 2025. Resignation pay, amending yung labor code natin. Amending Articles 106, 107 ng labor code para yung doon sa contractualization. Bawal naman na talaga ang ENDO, labor-only contracting, pero naglipa na yan because of agencies. So, we'd like to put an end dito sa mga manpower agencies. Nag-file din kami sa Magna Carta for Barangay Health Workers. We also filed a bill repealing yung clause sa labor code patungkol doon sa assumption of jurisdiction ng Department of Labor and Employment na tingin natin nagagamit at the detriment ng mga manggagawa. Kasi national interest lang naman nakasulat doon pero lahat ng mga manggagawa ini-AJ ng DOLE.
But
For
that's,
the
ano yung dalawang resolution?
For the resolutions, first is a resolution directing the House Committee on Labor investigating the job order and contract of services scheme sa national government at sa local government. And then the second is inquiry in aid of legislation doon naman sa mga gig workers natin, yung mga platforms.
Yung
So
mga
how are the platforms?
riders,
Yes, how are the
yeah.
platforms regulated?
Okay. But very important yung sa job order. When I was working in the
Yes.
government, mas marami pa yung job order
Yes.
employees namin
Totoo.
kesa dun sa regular. So, yung job security na, ang tagal pa lumabas ng
Totoo,
sweldo
Attorney
nila.
Karen.
And that's the government, ha?
Yeah.
So, it sounds like you really came prepared. Imagine
Yes.
first day mo pa lang, 8 bills na agad, tapos 2 resolution. So, are you optimistic? Pumili ka na ba ng committee mo?
Yeah, we have submitted our preferred committees to the PCFI, Party List Coalition.
Ano ang preferred? Number one
Number
committee?
one, syempre, House Committee on Labor. Second is Rural Development. Third is Agriculture.
Okay. And ano daw ang sistema sa loob ng Kongreso sa pagkuha ng mga committees that you prefer?
Attorney Karen, honestly, hindi ko rin alam.
So, surprise din siguro sa'yo kung ano
hindi ko-
mangyayari sa mga request mo.
Maraming bago sa akin, Attorney Karen. At honestly, nangangapa ako.
Wala ka nahanap pa na mentor so far, na veteran na kongresista para i-guide ka?
Meron, kahapon nagkwentuhan kami ni Representative JC Abalos of 4Ps and this is like more of my kuya in the 20th Congress. Sabi ko, Rep. Kong JC, magpapatulong na lang ako. Meron namang mga well-meaning friends sa 20th Congress. At lahat naman sila sinasabihin ko na patulong na lang po kasi baguhan, di ko alam paano yung pasikot-sikot dito. And sila na mismo nagsabi na they're more than willing to help me.
Okay. And yung mga friendships ba, meron ka nang nabubuo para naman may support ka dun sa mga
Yes.
bills na sinusulong mo?
Yes. Ang maganda dyan, Attorney Karen, we had our executive course for 3 days, yung batch 1. So marami-rami na tayo naging kaibigan doon. If I may just name them.
Oo, sino yung mga BFF
Representative
mo?
Mark Santos of Las Piñas.
Yes.
Yan,
Oo.
Representative Lenlen Ureto of Malabon. Representative Kenneth Gatchalian. Hello po, Representative. Yan, favorite namin si Representative Gatchalian kasi
Bakit?
kapatid niya si DSWD Secretary. So pagdating sa mga ayuda, si Representative Dimagila of Binyan and Representative Gonzales of Santa Rosa. Naging kaibigan ko rin si Representative Acosta of Palawan, 3rd District. And some other, si Representative Tina of Alona Party List.
Okay. So, marami ka naman
marami
naging
na.
kaibigan.
So naging
Yeah.
close naman po kami nung 3 araw na nag-schooling kami. And lahat kami natuto doon sa executive course. Kasi,
So, buti naman may training
yes.
pala. But when you mentioned kanina among the bills that you filed, manpower agencies, parang maraming negosyo na gano'n, ha?
Yes,
Hindi
Atty.
ka ba mahihirapan and aren't you worried about the resistance you'll get?
We expect, Attorney Karen, na magiging mahirap yan. Hindi magiging madali yan. But then again, we have to start somewhere. Yun na lagi kong mantra sa sarili ko. Kailangan nating pag-usapan yan. Kahit hindi pumasa. Pero syempre, gagawin natin yung best natin para pumasa yan. kailangan nating pag-usapan. Otherwise, kung paulit-ulit na lang yan ang mangyayari at walang may lakas ng loob na mag-file sa mga usapin na yan, wala rin mangyayari, Attorney Karen.
Well, napapanood ko na may vlogs ka pa rin.
Ay, oo nga.
Oo, and yung first day mo, may vlog ka rin.
Ay,
So,
oo
paano mo tinutuloy yung vlogging mo? Lalo na mukhang busy-busy ka na
Oo
sa
nga po.
Congress.
That has been my commitment, Attorney Karen. If I can remember, dito nyo rin ako in-interview nun eh. Kung magva-vlog ka pa rin ba pagpasok mo sa
Oo.
Congress? Yes, Attorney Karen, mag-update pa rin. Kasi yung mga tao, one way of, knowing na, ay, may nangyayari, ito na pala nangyayari sa Kongreso. Ito pala yung mga update, ito pala yung blow-by-blow accounts dyan sa loob ng Kongreso. So, tuloy-tuloy pa rin yan, Attorney Karen. At yan lang din naman yung masasabi namin na capital ni Kamanggagawa Party List na one way na maka-reach out sa ating mga kamanggagawa na malaman nila ano ba pinagagawa ko as representative. So, kung ano man po yung pagbobotohan, ano man yung mga decisions, mga pagdedebatihan sa loob ng Kongreso, i-update ko pa rin.
So, mag-share ka.
Yes, Attorney
Wala
Karen.
silang mga rules na bawal. Bawal ang camera, bawal ang vlogging.
Wala naman, Attorney Karen. Wala naman. In fact, natutuwa sila nung ito sa executive
Oo nga,
course
pinapanood
yan.
ko nga eh. Ito yung parang graduation
Graduation
ninyo.
namin. Natutuwa sila, isama ko rin daw sila sa vlog. So I encourage my fellow representatives, mag-vlog din sila. So meron din kasing session doon sa executive course about the use of social media. So sabi ko sa kanila, tara mag-vlog tayo. Hindi naman ako yung vlogger lang doon, Attorney Karen.
Marami din ba?
Si Representative Tony Roman of Bataan. Mas malaki following nun sa akin, Attorney Karen.
So, nagva-vlog din siya.
Yes, Attorney Karen.
What about SONA? Anong paghahanda ang ginagawa
Ayan.
mo? May anong susuotin mo? Alam mo naman yung mga iba, nagpapagawa pa ng susuotin. Ay, ikaw ba may naisip ka na magpapagawa ka pa? Or are you going to wear your usual?
usual.
Oo, yung ganito mo na outfit.
Kung pwede lang, Attorney Karen nga na the usual outfit, di yun na lang pagpunta ng SONA. Pero, syempre, merong rules sa house. So, the usual barong lang, Attorney Karen. Hindi naman ako nagpagawa
Hindi ka ba naman magde-designer barong?
Hindi na. And I'm proud to say, Attorney Karen, ang mga barong at yung pantalon ko, gawang kamuning. So, let us support
nakakatuwa
yung mga
naman.
tailors
Yes.
natin sa kamuning. Ang ganda-ganda ng gawa nila.
That's good to hear. Sinabi mo dati na ang tatanggapin mo lang minimum wage.
Yes.
Are you going to push through with that commitment? At paano mo gagawin yun? Kinausap mo na ba yung Congress about that?
Hindi ko pa rin alam paano sumahod sa Congress, Attorney Karen, pero seryoso tayo doon sa minimum wage. Nakausap at ready na yung pagpupuntahan ng sahod ko, yung sa large chunk of it.
Saan mo ilalagay?
Sa mga manggagawa yan, there will be a pool of fund for workers na may mga kaso, na merong mga labor disputes, at part of which ay mapupunta, actually malaking chunk of it sa organizing para magkaroon ng unions or associations yung mga manggagawa natin. In accordance yan sa, ILO recommendations, sa freedom of association, at sa constitutional right to self-organization.
Okay, so among all the bills you filed, last question, ano para sa iyo yung pinaka-priority na malaking impact sa mga manggagawa?
Our main campaign promise when we campaigned, and even before the campaign period, is to repeal RA 6727 at mawala na yung provincial rate. And that will be the priority ng Kamanggagawa Party List. Rest assured that our constituents and those who voted, and even those who didn't vote for Kamanggagawa, rest assured that you will have a working congressman sa 20th Congress. At yan lang ang pagtutuunang pansin ko. Definitely, yung ibang mga dapat pag-usapan, mga ibang panukalang batas, gagawin pa rin natin yan. Pero laging nasa unahan ng trabaho natin bilang kinatawan sa 20th Congress, yung pag-repeal ng RA 6727. This will be a very hard fight, Attorney Karen. Alam ko maraming tututol dyan, baka nga hindi pa tumawid yan ng committee. So, pero more than willing ako na makipaglaban para dyan.
Well, out of curiosity, since sinabi mo nga na hindi mo alam kung mabibigay sa yung mga committee na pinili mo, kung sakaling magkaroon ulit ng Quadcom hearings at in-offer sa iyo na maging part of that, are you going to take that offer?
Wala namang problema siguro, Attorney Karen. Kahit maging part ng Quadcom, walang problema.
So willing and able. Okay. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Congressman Ellie. It's
Thank you,
been
Attorney
wonderful to watch your journey from the time na tumakbo
Yes,
ka,
Attorney Karen.
at nanalo, at ngayon talagang sinusulong mo
Yes.
na yung mga sinabi mong gagawin mo. Maraming salamat for your
Thank
time.
you, Attorney Karen.
Thank you. The 50 pesos minimum wage hike definitely does not answer the call of Filipino wage earners for a decent increase to meet the surging rise of the cost of goods. There is a delicate balance between fair compensation and economic sustainability. The insights between workers and employers underscore the urgent call for responsive policies to uplift the lives of Filipino minimum wage earners and their families. Be timely informed, be insightful of the news. Always stay at the forefront. Join us again tomorrow for insights on issues that matter. This is Attorney Karen Jimeno. Thank you for spending your hour with us.